All right, everybody, happy Halloween. To whoever watches my price diaries and whatnot. But listen, here we are back again. All right, on the S&P, staying consistent here. All right, so I'm gonna be breaking down my train of thought and what went wrong from yesterday's analysis, pretty much. Well, not necessarily wrong per se, but yeah, I'll explain here. So pretty much, one of the things. Hold on, let's go here. One of the things I was expecting was for us to trade down to this new week opening gap. We instead created these relative equal lows, and the reason that doesn't make sense, it's actually, well, two things. Firstly, okay, this is a low resistance liquidity run, rebalancing this entire inefficiency and price leg here. Okay, whereas, trading below these different order blocks or these down close candles before the up move, that would be considered a high resistance liquidity run. So this is where the liquidity is right here. This is where the liquidity is right here. And today we traded above these relative equal highs. I did say I was expecting price to continue trading up into this leg. For some reason, I just thought it would go down there before doing that, and that's the first reason that's wrong. We'll also talk about another, objective up here, but let's just start from the 1 day, and we'll start here on the Nasdaq. So I'm just going to, my objectives are pretty much the same when we talk about the high and low. This is our defined range. This is the most recent high to low. This is my anticipated draw on liquidity, which is 14724.50. That's where I'm expecting price to drive to, and not really much of a difference here on the daily time frame. Same thing here. What is different is this. This right here is a volume imbalance. That means that price was not traded here on either side of the market, and we will expect price to gravitate towards that level. So that's our draw on liquidity. Now, if you notice something here, these pairs move in correlation, Nasdaq and the ES, right? This high is, or this is our level of buy side, and below that on the Nasdaq is also our volume imbalance. So that's two liquidity objectives paired with each other. All right, and then additionally here, okay, it's different on S&P where that level of buy side liquidity is. We actually have that volume imbalance above. Now these are, I do want to mention that these levels, both of them, this level of buy side, this level of buy side as well. All right, we are currently still in a bearish market, right? So ultimately, I would wait for indication for us to trade above these order blocks here, or trade past the equilibrium or 50% levels for them. But we'll keep it simple. That's what we're looking at here. What I'm anticipating, okay, the bigger picture here, or I guess like just overall what I'm expecting. Sorry, let me say it like that. All right, I'm expecting price to rebalance this. This is our inefficient delivery, and I'm expecting price to trade back here before either continuing lower or violating that here on the daily time frame. Very much the same thing here, right? Expecting price to trade up to here. This is a SIBI, and this is also a liquidity void, so we're gonna expect price to trade to that. Going on to the 4 hour. Obviously, it's the very, same thing, just refined. We have a few things that we can take away from today. The first thing here on the 4 hour, we have all these relative equal lows again, and we have the new week opening gap below them. When we trade to these levels, because obviously the market is going to seek liquidity, when we trade to these levels of buy side liquidity, then we can look at these in the future. But currently, the idea is that we're going to rebalance this price leg here of just this massive inefficient delivery. We'll see, of course, how high it wants to go, but we'll be framing our idea for now, with the idea that price is going to continue up to about the 14775 level. Same exact concept for ES. ES is a little bit different. I didn't really, at least not even here on the 4 hour, it's these lows aren't relative like this. Like this are clean relative lows. Okay, so this right here is a level where these large funds are putting their stop right below here, okay? And so this is liquidity. We also had these relative equal highs here, and we took that level of liquidity today as 2. We also did have relative equal highs, which I marked yesterday with this, and those levels of liquidity were taken out. So we are, overall, our bias is bearish, okay? But we are currently expecting price to trade within this range before continuing lower. That's the idea, okay? Let's go down to the 1 hour, because this is going to give us a this is more of a bellwether time frame. It will help us see the weekly range. So let's go ahead and look at what price has been doing overall, as for now. So on those higher time frames, and I also want to say too, let me not get too caught up. So yesterday, this hadn't formed. Okay, this right now is a swing low. We have a low with a higher low to the left and 2 higher lows to the right. So this is significant because when we, see something like this, it's very like indicative that, we will continue to see higher prices, which we have multiple ideas framed on that, right? We have multiple buy side objectives that we're, expecting price to retrade to. But I did also want to take a note of that because it hadn't formed yet. We can see obviously the very exact same thing here on the NASDAQ. And so when we're looking at the weekly range, that's where I'm looking at with these candles. And additionally today, we did have some high impact news drivers. We had one at 8:30 a.m., which was employment costs, and then 10 a.m., which was consumer confidence. So we can definitely expect that morning price action to be a little choppy. But I think for now, that's a really good high time frame perspective. We're also going to go ahead now and go to the 15-minute perspective on our on S&P and NQ. Okay, and so with this, all right, this is the new week opening gap that I was talking about yesterday that we're not going to trade to until we rebalance this range. And you can see, I mean, overall, it's been the same thing every day, right? Like we're seeing the same pattern. And when I say pattern, talking about we create a low, violate the previous day's high, create a low, violate the previous day's high. So we can anticipate price to trade back into this impulse leg before continuing higher to some of those other objectives. All right. So I took a note of those volume imbalances. Right. Took a note of that. Okay. Took note of untested highs. All right. So a lot of this is the same as yesterday. So I don't really need to, change too much on that. I'm still, expecting the exact same thing. I'm just now not expecting us to trade to the new week opening gap. Let's go ahead and also take a look at the US dollar index here. Give me a second. Wait, what chart did I mark that up on? My execution chart? Okay, I don't know where I marked. Oh, that could be different than the one I have. That's probably what it is. Okay, that. Nope. That's interesting. Okay, well, honestly, I'm not quite sure why my US dollar is not marked up. Maybe I cleared the chart on accident, but I should have different levels of liquidity already marked here. But ultimately, I'll just go ahead and break this down on the daily real quick to, explain it. And the reason we're looking at the US dollar index anyways, is just to understand, where that's going, because futures are going to be adverse to this, meaning it's going to do a different thing. Right now, it looks like on the US dollar is creating these really just smooth highs. We do have this level of buy setup here, and even though we're consolidating right now, we don't really have any reason to be expecting lower prices with this large expansion move. We'll see what it does when it breaks out of this consolidation, but ultimately I would say that the idea right here is the fact that we have this high back here. This level of liquidity was taken out on Thursday. Okay, so this high liquidity taken out. All right, so we would see price. Oh, has it already done it? Yeah, here's the order block. So order block down candle before the up move. It's traded to the 50% mark of that, and we've been seeing higher prices. So let's see. I guess I'm a little conflicted. And this is just on my current understanding because I'd be expecting US dollar to go higher just for that reason alone. Um, but let me like see this on. Do we return to the order block, or let me just make sure here I'm doing it right. Give me a second. Go back to this. Okay. Okay, that's why it's wrong. So I understand now. So the reason that my idea that I just said was actually wrong with this being an order block is because we haven't had any like aggressive movement from this consolidation. What we are seeing in this consolidation are these very much like seek and destroy conditions. We have a low created, low violated, a high created, and so eventually we will see that violated as well. But currently, with us being at the top of the range, we can definitely, as far as the consolidation range that is, we could definitely see a price trade back below if it wants to stay in consolidation. And price trading lower would help us as well with our idea on the other futures contracts, which is that we're expecting higher prices on those, so we would want to see lower prices on here. And when we go to the 4 hour, or sorry, this is 1 hour, but this impulse leg, right, just displacement to the upside above this high here, above these clean highs. Okay, same thing here, sweeping that level of buy side. Now it makes a lot more sense. So I'm happy I was able to like vocalize that and learn that here. And listen, I just want to share a few things I learned today, just in general, about trading. And then I'm gonna close this off. So the very first thing I want to share is something that was patchy at the end of month 2 for me, or not patchy, but I don't know. I understand the concept of like a bear flag. So a bear flag will form, or sorry, a false bear or bull flag will form when a trend has matured, and with that, a lot of people would see that as like a flag pattern, as a continuation, where I would see that as a reversal if it is, in a mature trend. That obviously we would correlate that with our directional bias, and it's pretty much the same thing for a false breakout. And here's the thing with a false breakout. So a false breakout is going to happen in a consolidation, okay? And so with a consolidation, we know that after consolidation, right, we would see an expansion move, okay? So, when we see a consolidation and we see a false breakout, okay, what we would want to see if it was, really going to go into that expansion, we would expect to see aggressive movement, okay? We wouldn't look for like a little, just tap, getting those sell stops out. We would see that very much like aggressive run away from the consolidation, and then the return to the order block would be our entry for that. So I just wanted to make that clear because it was something I was confused about on that consolidation thing. And one thing I've learned as well, actually, is for the consolidation, market, it's just like sideways price action. And I was thinking like, okay, we have to have clean lows and clean highs, and also like referring to the wicks, when in reality, like it's also the bodies. Like, let me get an example of this just so I can see it and internalize it, right? Give me 1 second. We'll go to. It's not weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, there we go. I don't know why my charts are being a little weird. Let me make sure these levels know. Okay, that's weird. Alright. So let's find a consolidation real quick just so I can finish this thought and then end what I'm saying. Okay. Expansion. Okay. So right, like here we go here. Okay. So we have this expansion, and keep in mind each of these candles represents a day. This low right here, the actual body is relative to this low, right? And try to see. Yeah, these are actually relative equal lows. We have one, two, three, four. These would not be relative equal highs, but you can see price goes for that. Okay, this is a consolidation. I may have not seen that as a consolidation previously, to be honest with you. So that's why I wanted to make sure I actually understand what a consolidation is, so that way I know when I see an expansion, what I'm expecting price to turn to, and rather than all right, so anyways, all right, same thing here. Okay, so listen, we have this um consolidation of these relative equal highs using the actual bodies. Okay, high here, relative to each other. High here. These are relative equal highs. They're relative to each other. All of these highs. This high to this high to this high to this high. It's relative equal highs. So anyways, that's what I'm gonna leave that at. And listen, man, I'm just gonna say, bro, like, man, I really do got some shit to say before I end this. So listen, bro, like, I'm just so sad about where my family is right now, bro. Like, I'm fucking crying thinking about this shit. And my mom is about to turn 40, bro. That means that she's like halfway through her life, which, you might think, okay, wow, you have another 40 years with your mom, but it's like, I don't even know if my mom will make it to 80, bro. Like, she fucking smokes. She smokes cigarettes. She's smoked pretty much as long as I can remember, and she goes to Starbucks every single day. And I always hear my family complain about money issues, but I've done the math personally of, their different vices of like cigarettes and all that stuff, and over the years it's tens and thousands of dollars, and also just their health and stuff, and they're overweight, and it's just like, I'm not saying this to shit on them because I love my family, but man, it really hurts me. Like, it hurts my feelings that like they're pretty much killing themselves. Like, that's the way I see it, not even to get too like morbid or anything. So um where I'm going in this, or why I'm sharing this thought, this is my motivation. This is the reason that I will put all my energy into the shit every fucking day, not because I want to, but because I have to. Because if I want a better life for them and for myself, then this is what I have to do. And listen, if I don't get this freedom, or if everything I did was in vain, or a waste of time, or I half-assed it, I'm gonna live my life with immense fucking regret. And I will say that, like, right now, clear as day, I will live a life of regret if I'm not able to free myself financially. So, that's gonna be the last thought. And yeah, everyone, peace out.